You.
Okay, great. Good morning. Welcome to the council members. It's a beautiful, stellar autumn day. I'm looking out a window and I don't think we're at peak, but we're close to it. We have several agenda topics today that will require your input. So Dr. Hickey and I are pleased to say that we'll be sharing a lot of the topics with you and your input today. Let's begin with the roll call, and Dr. Hickey, it's your turn to do it today.
Sure, and I did get a notice that Stephen Hernandez was unable to attend today, so I will not call his name because I know he's not in attendance. All right, Dr. Conway, Dr. Coyne, Dr. Gillis.
Here.
Kim Healy.
Here.
Myself. Gary Highsmith is coming in right now.
Is Gary new?
Gary is new. He was newly appointed, and he and I met on Friday, and he is new today. So welcome, Gary.
Welcome. Hello.
Superintendent Highsmith. We're doing roll call right now.
Okay.
So then we have Yasmin Ithier Vicente.
Here.
Thank you. Dr. Lucero.
Here.
Dr. Oldham. Here. Principal Scott Brown.
Here.
Dr. Zavadanchek.
Here.
Awesome. Okay, roll call has been completed.
I think Dr. Hickey will take a minute for Superintendent Highsmith to introduce himself to the council.
Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Gary Highsmith, I'm Superintendent of Hampden Public Schools. I've been in the business a long time. I was a teacher, an assistant principal, elementary principal, high school principal, assistant superintendent for HR and for personnel and human resources, and now superintendent. I've been in Hampden for, I think this is either 18 or 19 years. I've been in this district. I was in New Haven before that for about 16 years, various capacities, and I'm looking forward to participating on this committee.
Excellent. Well, a big welcome to you. Just so that you know, these meetings are live streamed and they're then uploaded to the CSDE portal and are available for public viewing as they're streamed, as well as afterwards. My name is Ellen Stoltz. I am very eager to run these meetings as the facilitator and certainly collaborate and partner with Dr. Hickey and the council. So, Dr. Hickey, did anybody else enter the room?
No, we are set.
Great. So by the end of today's meeting, as you may have seen on the top of your draft agenda, we will be identifying the elements of the K-3 literacy plan that has been developed with Dr. Hickey's leadership, as well as the first council members from the Center for Literacy, Research, and Reading Success. We also will have an opportunity to review, discuss, and confirm the goals of this council for the upcoming 2024-2026 school years. We begin with accepting the minutes from September 17th, our first meeting. Please know that we do use Robert's Rules of Order for this section only. And as a new practice that we're adding this year, that as we go through the minutes, anyone who approves or opposes accepting the minutes, their name will appear, first initial, last name, in the meeting minutes. Do we have a motion from all of you who were in attendance in the September meeting to approve the minutes dated September 17th, 2024? And please either raise your hand, maybe Dr. Hickey, you can help out here. I see one hand. I think it's Dr. Lucero.
So, right, the first hand I saw up was Dr. Lucero.
And do we have a second to this motion?
Second.
Dr. Gillis?
Dr. Conway has joined the meeting and he has seconded from, I believe, his vehicle.
Okay.
Please be careful.
fantastic.
Please be careful.
Yeah, I'm a passenger,
Discussion.
so-
Okay,
Oh,
okay.
good.
Thank you for
Good, good,
clarifying.
good. Discussion on the motion from the council, please. Dr. Hickey, I don't see any hands raised or any buttons pushed.
Correct.
Okay, then all those in favor of approving the minutes as they stand, please either raise your hand or use the raise hand button on your screen.
Okay.
Okay,
I see all hands raised and I'm assuming, Gary, you're abstaining because you were not there.
Right.
okay, excellent. The motion passes. Thank you very much. So as you'll see, item number 2, council member comments and insights. As part of our September 17th meeting, Ms. Kim Healy had suggested that we change the title for the good of the order to something that's a little bit more practical. So we have dedicated 30 minutes to hearing directly from you regarding any communication that you have received from your constituents. So first, I know, pardon my scratchy, dry voice. First, Dr. Hickey, I know that we put out in Kati's email that we were going to request any email responses from the membership to have an item under this heading. Did we receive any responses?
We have not received any responses.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody that wishes to see? I think, Chandra, you have your button pushed.
I'm sorry, the hand raise thing didn't go away. My apologies.
That's
There.
quite all right. Is there anybody interested in sharing any information that they've received, perhaps over the summer even, or in September, early October? Kim, Ms. Healy?
Hi. So, I saw that request, and because I didn't have time to, prepare or send it in advance, I am not prepared to provide the feedback that I've received. So, I guess if I had known you were going to take open, comments from the floor, I would have pulled it all together before we started. But thank you for making the change. Anyway, I think it'll be better in the future for clarity. And, I can certainly provide my feedback that I've heard next time.
Okay, we look forward to that. Thank you. Anyone else with comments? Okay. We are going to review these council norms just very quickly before we move to Dr. Hickey's presentation on the K-3 literacy plan. So if you could just glimpse at them on your own. And you'll see some of these council norms that were adopted by our previous council. Hopefully you can't hear the lawn being mowed and the leaves being blown by AirPods here. but these were also in alignment with the elements of Crucial Conversations, which we discussed in September. So Dr. Hickey, you're on with the literacy plan.
Okay, thank you so much. So the last time that we met as a council, I was able to share about the webinars. As we shared, there are webinars that are highlighting districts who've come forward to talk about their journeys, their implementation journey, how they're picking out programs and curriculum models. And then we also had an event last week, Performance Matters, in which districts did the same. So I believe at Performance Matters, there was over 400 attendees. The council staff, who are just so amazing, presented 2 times and had about 50, 60 people in attendance for each, I believe. So that was very exciting, where districts were able to share once again about their journeys and answer some questions about the work that they've been doing. This time, what we're going to be doing, well, also, that is one of the strategies that you all had helped to put into the literacy plan that leads, as Dr. Stoltz discussed, that leads the work of the center. So it is all about highlighting districts and bringing districts together to share their journeys and to support one another on their journey for K-3 literacy. Today, what we're going to be talking about is Center Goal 1, increasing K-3 student access to culturally responsive, scientifically based, evidence-based literacy teaching and learning practices. I'll share the updates on other targets, goals, and strategies in the plan. For example, we did assist districts, all districts who received the ARPA funds and grants, as you see here. They did participate in a professional learning in which they had to pull together, if they did not have one, a district literacy team, a leadership team, and then they received professional learning together to create a literacy plan. So between this and also the masterclass, which we've talked a lot about in the past, through these 2 professional learning experiences, we had districts and charter schools creating these plans and having a literacy team. So that's pretty amazing. 180 districts, and pretty much all districts did one form or the other of the professional learning and creating the plan. In support of the implementation of the programs, like I said, the Black and Puerto Rican Council were amazing, and they did provide ARPA funds and the grants. The commissioner likes to say she looked in her couch and found some additional funds, which was the ARP ESSER grants, and these were related to those small towns. So districts under 1,000 total students also got additional funds through the ARP ESSER grants. Excuse me. In addition to the system of supports, which is one of our goals, like I said, it's the 3-year fixed pricing. So Irene Parisi, who's here on our screen today, is our Chief Academic Officer, and she worked with Department of Administrative Services to work with our vendors for a 3-year fixed pricing to assist districts and charter schools with some of the costs of the approved programs and curriculum models. The awards were provided to amplify, benchmark, imagine learning, and open up resources. So these are the vendors who said, yes, we will do the fixed 3-year pricing to ensure that districts know about the costs and to assist them in this process. So another way that we are continuing to provide supports, our system of supports, is through no-cost professional learning opportunities. So we continue to have the Connecticut Literacy Model Strategy, which is really focused on those alliance and opportunity districts where we have 76 of the schools across getting personalized supports through Hill for Literacy, Literacy How, and through UConn. We also have ReadCon. Now, ReadCon, we are doing some changes to that. So it's actually going to be ReadCon 2.0. It's going to be a 2-year program, and then we're expanding it to K-12. We've heard so much about how districts need supports beyond K-3. So we're expanding it. We're in the process of doing that and working with PCG. And this is really cool. We are the only state to be providing this training that's going to be coming. And it's IDEA certified, and it is aligned to, so when teachers take this, they are then able to, or better poised, to take the structured literacy exam so that they become certified in structured literacy. So that's pretty amazing too. And we're one of the first states to offer this and to be working with PCG on this. It should be done hopefully in a few months, and then we can start having a cohort to participate in the new ReadCon. So that's that. We also have the Science of Reading Masterclass, which we know we've talked about multiple times, with 5 cohorts so far of of districts and charter schools. The RESC, this is something new that we are moving forward with our partnership. So the RESCs are working together through ACES, and each RESC will be working with a group of districts and charter schools who are implementing the similar programs and curriculum models. So they'll be able to talk about their challenges, their successes, and really able to collaboratively work together for the benefit of the students. So that started actually today. We have schools and districts who are meeting today with our RESC partners and getting this collaborative support along with some coaching. So coaching where they'll be going into districts and supporting with the implementation. But that's not all. We have more, right? We are waiting on our TNTP. We've been talking about that. They're going to be providing implementation supports as well. We finished with the Hill for Literacy, the contract there, which is about supporting districts with implementation. So we thank them very much with their partnership too. So there we go. Those are just some of the resources and no-cost professional learning that we are providing to districts. We're also working with WestEd. That was a brand new one. We're looking for 5 schools to be working in a community of practice together on implementation and the science of reading. With all of our opportunities, we go first to those districts who did not get a waiver. So those districts get the first opportunity to work with any of our partners to support them in their journey toward full implementation by July 1 of 2025. So there we go. Those are our 2 supports. Once again, that's all around working with our plan, the literacy plan that was co-created by the council and the Connecticut State Department of Education and the center. So thank you. Dr. Stoltz.
Thank you, Dr. Hickey. There's a lot of information there, perhaps more pertinent to our newer members for this year. So I wondered if we could just go back to the first of your 3 slides and just see if there's any questions from the group. If you do have a question, if you could use the raise hand button, it's easier for me to see since I don't have all of you on my page here. Ms. Ithier Vicente?
These no cost PDs, were the districts are telling the teachers about them for the ones that the audience are the teachers?
So far what we've been offering have been much more at that leader level. So the district leadership teams ReadCon is going to be for the teachers, and that will be advertised. We're actually working on developing and finalizing the content. So when that is completed, then we'll be sending out information. We send information to superintendents, and we have 2 listservs. So if you are interested, we can have you definitely join a listserv. You can just email me the email you prefer. And then we have one that's for coaches in districts. And then the other is a more general for the center, and any information goes out that way. But yes, any of this professional learning goes right to the superintendents, and then they disseminate it from there.
Thank you.
That's a great
So, Dr.
question.
Hickey-
Thanks.
Oh, yes.
We want the teachers
so
to be
Doc-
involved.
Definitely. Dr. Hickey, we did have a question from Kim Healy about council members being invited to things like the Performance Matters. And so that question stands alone, but I think it also links to Ms. Ithir Vicente's comment about perhaps receiving information on ReadCon. So what is the practice that we want to ensure that we keep our council members informed, and what would be appropriate from your lens?
Sure. So I will have to consult. Performance Matters was not from our office. So, a lot of times we as an office, excuse me, are invited to various events, and that's what occurred there. Traditionally, that was out of our assessment office. And I know that Dr. Hughes was running Performance Matters this year with Ajit. So that I can't really speak to. And for the others, I guess it would depend on, like the literacy model strategy, that's very individualized. That is with the districts and the district leadership. So that would really be up to the district. As to having others join that work, I'm trying to look at what else. Here we have the TNTP and the Hill for Literacy. Once again, these are so district focused, it would really be up to the district.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
And Kim, you have a comment?
So just in relation to, obviously that group that you said was an outside group soliciting the feedback from the districts. I mean, is there a way for for us to get a summary of what districts have been saying? Because we're not seeing anything to know unless we reach out to them directly or hear from them directly. It'd be good for the council to be aware of what districts are saying.
Sure. So the last time I did show everyone where the webinars are, and then on that webinar site on the bottom, if you recall, there were additional links that you could click on and you could see quotes from all the districts. Is something like that? Is that what you're looking for? That's just something we've collected.
Whenever I've always felt that whenever anything related to this legislation is discussed, we really should have access to what everyone is talking about and saying, and what people are being invited to, and things like that. So that just kind of all ties into, at least from where I sit, I don't get any feedback unless I hear directly from districts. And I just think it would be better if we were had more information.
Sure. So, we could actually do this twofold. So I could put since I'm showing the PowerPoint, I can't put that link in again like I did last time. We could send you that link. I think we did, though. I think in the email, I think we did send you that link to the webinars, but I'll double check. It could have been in no, you know what? I think it's in the minutes. I think she put it in the minutes, right? So you do have that link. But what we could do at one of the council meetings, if you want, is we could have some districts speak, or we could watch some of the webinars or review the quotes together, you know, just something to think about.
If you're asking me, I mean, I can certainly do it on my own. I just would like, again, just to know what's being offered to the districts outside of what we offer here.
Outside of what I offer, that I don't really know.
You mentioned that, you know, members of your office went to that program. I guess maybe we could have just been informed that there was a program that you guys were going to be participating in, and maybe we could then have requested to be in attendance as well, or something.
And if I could just jump in, I think Kim and Melissa, perhaps we, outside of this meeting, we could look at any of the upcoming professional learning opportunities that relate to the work of the council and the K-3 literacy plan moving forward. And then we could share as relevant any links to the entire council.
Right, and then there are the calendars. So there are multiple calendars, including the state calendar that you could always look at too, to see if there's something that you find of interest. And then we can reach out, and in the calendar, it'll say who's working on that. So if it's coming out of the Bureau of Special Education or the Talent Office or from the Academic Office, Turnaround Office. I mean, we have so many offices, but if that's something you're interested in, then you can just email me and I'll see if I can connect you with the person, or you can reach out directly to the person that's listed on the state website for the professional learning experiences.
Thank you. Dr. Oldham?
Thank you. I just wanted to ask, so a comment and a question about ReadCon. So my comment is I'm really excited to hear about the expansion and Connecticut leading in thinking about literacy professional development across K-12. This is something I'm continuously hearing from practitioners and teachers and pre-service teachers, is that, you know, people beyond 5th grade are really wanting to get more training as they see students and young adults and adolescents moving forward and needing more. So that's my comment. So I'm just thrilled about that. And my question is, how many people will be in this initial cohort?
Stay to the right, 2 cash, light vehicles.
Sorry, I just muted Dr. Conway. So it hasn't started yet. So ReadCon 2.0 has not started yet. We're still in the process of finalizing the PowerPoints and the documents. We're working with Lisa, who is from the ODRD, the Office of Dyslexia and Reading Disabilities here at the State Department of Education. So we're going to be reviewing all the materials. When that's all set and done, then we can start opening up for cohort 1. It will be up to 500 participants. It's going to be school or district teams. So it won't be individuals. It'll be teams of people doing this together with a literacy leader that's designated by the district. And then there's going to be not only in-person events, we're going back with our ReadCon with in-person and online. So will be very exciting. And then what people have done in the past with our first version of ReadCon is they did it different ways, because you have all the modules. So sometimes what they do is they dig deep into a module, excuse me, that all the participants feel like they really need some support on. But with this one, because it will align to really supporting teachers and, like I said, taking that structured literacy, I don't know if you call it a survey exam, right? It's going to be a little bit tighter. So they're going to have to really follow the sequence so that they can gain these skills and be better prepared. Does that help, Dr. Oldham?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Very exciting. I look forward to hearing more. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'll keep you posted. I'll keep you posted because we're really excited too. But that is still in the works and it has not yet been finalized so that it can be launched to Connecticut.
And thank you from my perspective, Dr. Oldham, for raising this comment and question. From my background, certainly special education and the interface with general ed practices is critical. So thank you. And thank you, Dr. Hickey. Any other comments before we proceed? If you do, please use your comment button or raise hand button. Okay. Seeing none, this is our opportunity to implement some of our key strategies that we reviewed in our September meeting on crucial conversations. So I believe you all have that in your email as an attachment. You also have a one-pager on guidance for writing SMART goals. So Dr. Hickey, if you'll move to the goals that are currently in place. Oh, could you go back to that slide? Were we going to review this?
We had put this in there. I know that we had talked about this before, but just to remind members that
Yes.
there are legislative roles and responsibilities of both the center and the council. So you'll see here, excuse me, send that to voicemail. You'll see here where the director, which is myself, it's my job is to oversee the center activities aligned to the legislation, to communicate and inform the council in the field, to coordinate the dissemination of information and tools, and consult regularly with all of you to review issues related to implementing an approved curriculum model or program, including the provision of technical assistance to those districts whose waiver was not approved. That is why also I did mention to all of you, just as a reminder, that any of our professional learning, those districts whose waiver was not approved do get first opportunity of joining these professional learning opportunities for no cost. And then the council. Do you want to read those, Dr. Stoltz, or do you want me to do that?
Sure. Just we put this in just so that everybody understands what our own roles are, that we are here to listen from your perspective to any of the activities that you have from the field. We want to ensure that any actions taken by the council as well as the director reflect and respond to some of those challenges out there, because it's always going to be a next level of work. We know that as educators in the field. We also are here, of course, so that you receive information that advance the legislation so that the council members are well informed, not only from your own practice, but from how the council interacts with one another through the center. And of course, as I said, we're always looking not only for those challenges, but also sharing successes, things that you hear from parents, students, teachers, anybody that's involved with boots on the ground, to see how things are going as a result of the technical assistance and support given. So with those things in mind, if you'll take a minute just to look at, oops, it should say 2023, 24 goals, perhaps. These are
Thank you.
goals.
I'll fix that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
How did we miss that, right?
I know.
These are the goals of our council. These are the goals that were established by the initial council members. And it's our role today to review those, discuss them, and determine, do these goals speak to us as the work that we are seeking to accomplish in these areas. So just take a minute to review them, and please press the raise hand button when you're ready to comment. for starters. Do we have any comments or questions from our group? Seeing no comments, my question then would be, as these stand, keeping in mind that we often use SMART goals in education, do we have any thoughts on should these goals stand as SMART goals?
Could you say a little bit more around that, just in case not everyone is familiar with that term?
Sure. So on the one pager that was disseminated with the agenda and the PowerPoint, a SMART goal typically is stated in terms of specificity, hence the S, measurement for M, something that is achievable for our group. Remember, we're looking at this as us as adult learners looking to accomplish outcomes, and that it's a timely goal, relevant to our work, the R, and timely. So from my perspective, as I look at, by example, awareness, there really isn't even a time constraint here. Like, are we looking to ensure that we have the most recent evidence-based strategies that we are collecting? Is there a time frame for that? So if I just use time frame simply, then really none of those four have a time frame other than the completion of the work by 2026. Any comments on any of the other, for example, measurable? And Ms. Chandra Brown. Hello.
Thank you. Hello. As I reviewed all four goals, they don't meet the criteria of being a SMART goal, but I was wondering, my wonder is, does it have to be, given that typically when you write a SMART goal, you have a baseline to make it measurable? What are you basing this on? And I don't know if the council have the data to support, previous data to support it being measurable.
Very appropriate comment, so thank you. Dr. Hickey, not that I'm putting you on the spot, but confirm for me, in my mind, would measurement of this reflect, by example, capacity building? Would measurement relate to the number of districts that are in full implementation because of those supports?
Well, it's an idea. I can say that, and I know I've talked to the previous council about this. We are working with, it's called CSERC. It's a group of university and colleges that come together to do research, and we are currently doing working with them to do research around the Right to Read grant, so that ARPA grant, and how people use their funds and what they're seeing as a result of the fund use. So many districts did use their funds to support the approved program and curriculum model purchases. Some used it also for the assessments. So using those data, we could get some information to evaluate and identify supports. So when that is done, obviously I'll be sharing the results with everyone here. Trying to think of some other really tangible ones right now. You know, right now, the majority of all the districts were showing evidence that they were partially implementing. July 1, 2025 is when they do need per legislation to show full implementation.
So to Principal Brown's point, we really could have a baseline from the Right to Read legislation at that point, how many districts, by example, were at full implementation, and then how we show progress as reported to it's really the progress of the center, but then reported to the Reading Leadership Implementation Council. Is that accurate?
Right, so the districts, it's really up to the charter schools and the districts to inform us as to where they are. Right now, the legislation only says that we formally get this information after that July 1, 2025 date from all 180 districts and charter schools. The way that we are aware of where they are is because the amazing center staff whom you've met, or I'm sorry, that was the previous council. They met them sometime. We'll have to bring them to all of you so you can meet them. They've been establishing relationships. They've been working with the districts through the ARPA ESSER grants. They've been supporting those districts who did request waivers, who were not granted waivers, including those who had nothing to do with the waivers. So really by pulling the that way is that self-reporting of the data. So I'm not sure it would be, once again, it's self-reported data. So for something like that, if we're evaluate and identify supports, sorry, I just have to read it, for schools and districts regarding K-3 assessment instruction. We've been evaluating and identifying, we've been identifying supports based on what is expressed to us as needs. And that's how we've landed on the professional learning. We've been listening to what districts and schools have been communicating, and that's how we've identified the, bless you, Dr. Gillis, the information to identify for the professional learning. You know, something like the awareness, the review, research, and analyze the successful birth grade through 12 evidence-based literature. We could set a date on that. The prior council really wanted to have research introduced to them, which we did do. We engaged with Hanover, and they provided a lot of research for us. We had conversations around that as that common document. You know, we could do that again. We had various members present to the group. So Dr. Gillis, did you present or did you just speak with Dr. Coyne? I can't remember. I know he
just spoke with Dr. Coyne.
Okay. All right. So I know that he came forward, spoke about the work and what they've been doing in the Alliance districts for many years now. So I think there is a way, but I think it would depend on the group here as to what deadlines do you want to put if these are the goals you feel are what you all want to do. Do you want to continue reviewing and researching and analyzing the research? These were this EG were some areas of interest based on the group previously. The policy about extending the strategy birth through 12. That was an interest. You know, we have the current strategy K3, but the group was really interested in extending that. So perhaps having small groups working here to help extend that strategy based on your experiences. That's how we did the K3 strategy. So I guess we could do a SMART goal format, but it would be more in that manner based on, this is my opinion, timelines you all want to set. You know, we could break these down, like by January 2020, what year is this? 24, 25. So by January 2025, we will have read a research article. I mean, we could do it, things like that. It's up to you, your comfort.
So then, just for clarity, these 4 goals would be considered, unless we hear anything different, these 4 goal areas are the ones that this council will continue to work on. If that's accurate, I would also ask, are there any other areas, especially from those of you in the field, that you would want to see as a goal for this council, something that's not there?
I'm going to fix the years while we're doing this. It's really bothering me.
Sure. Dr. Gillis?
I don't know if I have a recommendation for a goal per se, but I'm just thinking about what is realistic for this council, right? We don't meet frequently. We all do different things, you know, as far as our day job, right? And the goals are pretty broad and far-reaching. I think they're all important, but how realistic is it? And I'm not looking at them now because I don't see them in front of me, but how realistic is it for us to really dig into each of those goals? And I'm wondering, because really our council is working alongside the center, right? And the work that Dr. Hickey and her group does, getting kind of reports from the center and their activity and what they're hearing from the districts around the state, because they're really on the ground with those districts. They're interacting with them. They talk to them all the time. They hear what their needs are, I'm assuming. And that, to me, would be important for the council members to know and understand more about, so that we could then weigh in on what do we think is needed for the support. So thank you for putting that back up. In other words, so I'm looking at number 3. I'm looking at capacity. What are the supports that we think are needed for the school districts and the schools to do their work? Right now, they're all, I know all, if not most, maybe not all, but most are really grappling with how to implement a new core reading program effectively, how to do that and support their teachers to do it well, because you have limited time in the day, right? You have limited time and money, because they just spent a lot of their resources on the program itself. Now I have to really, to make that program work, it's not going to work unless I give ongoing support, right, to those teachers. They're on the ground with the kids. So what is it that you're hearing? And Melissa, you know, I know what you're hearing on some level, but wouldn't that be, to me, that would be really helpful and informative to convey, are there common themes? And if they're common themes, what are they? And what could we as a council do? And I don't know what we can do, right? We have limited time, and maybe it's worth revisiting. What is the ultimate goal of this council? What are we, especially for Dr. Highsmith, right? You're new. Hi, Gary. like, what is it that we can realistically do where we sit in our different roles? So I'll stop talking. I'm droning on, but I don't know if that makes any sense.
I think it makes a lot of sense, Dr. Gillis, because all 4 of these were relevant to the work 2 years ago, but are they still relevant now? And I think as we get closer to implementation, your idea about the common themes, really, I think, Melissa, you have, and the center have certainly allotted resources and supports that speak to those themes, but perhaps having some information on those themes for us might narrow the goals that we select.
Right. And, I say it's no cost. It's no cost to districts and it's no cost to charter schools, but it is a cost to the state, meaning we have ARPA funds that we're able to spend on supports. We want to make sure we're spending money on supports that are helpful to districts. And like I said, and like Dr. Gillis, you said, we're really trying hard to listen and find out what are people's needs, what are the supports that they're needing right now. But you all are in a place, all different places, right, that we could all benefit from hearing from what you're hearing and what supports are needed. And is there something we have not yet thought of? And how can we best support the districts and schools with these changes? So yes, thank you so much.
Well, and also just to add, even though it's no cost in some respects, there is a cost because you have to release teachers to attend.
True.
Right.
Good
and
point.
So it's not truly no cost. And that's, again, it's wonderful. I'm not taking anything away from what the state is offering. I think it's fantastic, but there is a cost. And I keep going back to, because I hear this all the time, the teachers saying, I need to know how to use these materials, and I need time for prepping, and I need time for really digesting and reflecting on what is working and what isn't working. And that's time. That's the most precious commodity of all. And there's never enough of it. And I think just understanding, again, what you're hearing, what we're collectively hearing, and then maybe figuring out what are maybe prioritizing what are the biggest demands and how can we address them in some way, just so that we're showing support for the work. We're not just saying you have to do this, but we really are putting our money where our mouth is. We're gonna really take you seriously, and we're gonna really try to support you the best way we can.
Thank you, Dr. Gillis. Superintendent Highsmith.
So I want to support what Dr. Gillis is saying. It seems to me, and I'm new here. Normally when I'm new, I just be quiet and listen for a while. But since you asked me to be here, I'm going to talk. So the awareness and the policy points seem to have been best when you first started, because I believe we're all aware, and the policy is what it is at this point. And my focus would be on capacity, because we are trying to figure out how to best support teachers, how to make sure they have the time, because it's not just planning. This is additional or different planning. Mm-hmm. And when it's additional or different planning, it requires more time. And frankly, it's difficult for us to find now with all the stressors we have, trying to find time for social studies and science. And now we've got teachers doing a new sort of reading program in addition to all the other stressors that are coming, particularly at the K-2 level, with students and behaviors that they're showing, and trying to just sort of manage the classrooms, period. So for me, as a superintendent, what would be helpful is to have some sense of how we build capacity in that regard, and how the center could help us along those ways, because building that capacity, in my opinion, is the most important of all the four things that I see right there. And it would be very, very helpful if we could get some information as to how we address that. Some of it's going to be district specific, right? We've got at the elementary level, our teachers get, I think, 180 minutes of planning time in addition to another potential 45, but that still doesn't seem to be enough, because where we started, they didn't have enough planning time from when we started. So we can get some information in that regard. That would be very helpful.
Excellent. Thank you so much for expressing that, regardless if it's your first or second meeting. We appreciate that. Principal Brown?
Thank you. I was just thinking, would it be helpful, because you don't want to lose the work that was initiated in the council's first inception. So is there a way that we have some overarching goals or objectives, and then the goals are kind of focused down by years? Because I agree, being a building administrator, even though we've been implementing the science of reading for 3 years, we're still at building that capacity. And it's the capacity and the understanding of the practitioners on the what and the why, in order to then take new program materials to then implement. And so I think to support the work that we're doing, we really have to kind of sparse out the goals that we want to achieve by year, even though I know it says 23, 24, but you know, what do we want to accomplish in 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, and show that how it's delineated, to show that the work is moving from the awareness to the actual, excuse me, my phone is ringing. I thought I had it on. Excuse me, to show the work that we're actually doing to build that capacity and for implementation of high levels. And I'm just thinking the whole evaluation system for teachers have changed, and administrators. And
Yes.
How do we write those multi-year goals to show that we are improving on our practice, and really moving it from just the awareness and research to implementation, identifying or supporting.
And so, you know, we're working very closely with the talent office on doing some kind of mock goals or things around that. So I believe it was Cody Fusco from the center is working very closely with talent on that, and Sharon Fuller. So it's excellent, excellent. See, this is the kind of stuff I love to hear. I'm not sure. I don't know if this, like the conversation we're having now, I think it's not only in the goals, but it also goes back to like, what do you all have to share? And I can't remember what we called that right now. It used to be good of the order, and now we're calling it something else. But
Comments and insights.
thank you. These are your comments and insights as well. So thank you so much. It's much appreciated.
So just to pause for a minute and kind of condense what we've been hearing, it seems to me that, and the council may agree to this, that capacity is really the focus, as Superintendent Highsmith and really Principal Brown elaborated on. And I could envision that as perhaps even at this point for maybe 1 year, 2 years, is that becomes our overarching goal statement, and then the objectives that follow that, which also can be measurable, may include continued review of the research, but it's more that we are looking at what is working. So it's those literacy strategies, the curriculum being used, how is that furthering implementation with fidelity, and then how do we take that perhaps in our last year as council to build upon the strategy out toward grade 12, which we're hearing even today is important to districts. And of course, inclusive of the community. So what I'm wondering, Dr. Hickey, is do we want to ask for maybe 2 people that would like to review before our next meeting? It's not until December. If we work on perhaps the draft format of what the goals could look like, and then just ask for 2 volunteers to kind of review what we put together and edit and revise, so to speak, before we bring it to the entire council. Would that be an efficient way of completing our goals?
So we've done that in the past. We've worked with small groups from the council. It's worked out really well for both the plan and the strategy, as well as when they were reviewing the approved programs. So yeah, I think that would be great if people are interested in doing that. We've done it different ways because it was over the summer at one point, and they're like, Melissa, just write it, we'll look at it. I said, okay. So, it's whatever people are comfortable doing. If they want to join us in the work, they're more than welcome to do that. If they're more comfortable having us write something out and then edit it, I'm comfortable with that as well.
Then, as a matter of process, is there anybody who has a comment on that process, or can we move forward with any volunteers that would like to be a part of drafting the goals with the feedback we've received so far? Please raise your hand or press your button. Okay, I think that's an indicator of how busy everybody is. We understand that. So Dr. Hickey and I will work on putting some of your thoughts, your ideas in a goal statement. We probably most likely will add them as SMART goals, or at least some elements of SMART goals based on the information that we have in hand. Okay.
Right. Yeah. Thank you so much. I mean, the reason that you all were appointed is because of your knowledge and your experience and your expertise. And I so appreciate, I know time, like Dr. Gillis reminded me, time is a huge resource. So thank you so much for the time that you are able to devote to the work. It's much appreciated.
Yes. And as always, unless there are any other comments, we will move to adjourn and give you the gift of time because it's only 3:03. We're not going to just sit around. So any comments before we adjourn? Thank you.
We have a hand.
Yeah, Superintendent.
We have a hand from the man who said he wasn't going to speak.
Right. First of all, I appreciate being on the committee, on the council. It's an important endeavor, I believe. And I just wanted to say hello to Dr. Gillis. We worked together over 20 years ago, and it's good to be back working again with such brilliance. So I appreciate the opportunity.
You're too kind, Dr. Highsmith. Thank you.
Shout outs are always welcome. So thank you all. And as you see, our next meeting will not be until December 17th. Ms. Ithier Vicente, because we want to ensure that you are always present, I'm hopeful that the 2 o'clock time frame does work for you. Great, I see your nod. So thank you so much. So our meetings will be from 2 o'clock to 3:30 as needed, of course. And in the meantime, we'll be drafting our goals statements. So thank you all, and be safe out there, stay warm, and enjoy the beauty of our fall.
Thank you.
Right.
Good to see you all.